y'all. It is March 3rd, 3/3/26. There was a blood orange full moon last night that was very cloudy and I couldn't see anything, so I just went to sleep. Slept well last night. Oh, there's a cardinal right out the window. Birdie's looking at it. And the whole Middle East has blown up. The Gulf states for Americans have been advised to leave the next commercial flight, except that a lot of airspaces and commercial flights aren't running. The UK has sent someone to sent a flight to pick up their citizens. Americans need to do the same. I seriously know and love people in multiple Gulf states right now. All right, so BB finally got his useful idiot. He tried with W. He was successful with Iraq, with the fake war, which I think I've talked about the lifelong PTSD my brother had for realizing it was a fake war. Because back then, after 9/11, it was Halliburton, it was that fucker that owned Halliburton, war hawk of the time, Cheney, that just lies, full on lies. And, I remember, so I was nearing what was supposed to be the end of my teaching career, and I was looking to go to graduate school in New York at Columbia. I was looking at a dual master's in journalism and creative writing. Journalism and environmental science. And so I ended up being in New York after 9/11 in November, and I could still smell it. And there was like a brief moment that I was like, maybe I need to join the military. Talking to my dad, I don't know, I can't believe I grew up very military adjacent and on bases, and once an Army brat, always an Army brat, but mainly the behaviors of some, but not all, military men made me go, I don't think I like military. I don't know. I went to college, which had, strong, the Corps is there, so strong military presence. So I decided military is not for me. But anyway, I'm just trying to get you to understand the mindset. And, I was the kid in Western Oklahoma. Like, this Iran thing goes way back. So Jimmy Carter, who is a compassionate man, the Shah that had been overthrown, they had a democratically elected prime minister. And so students went into the embassy and held them hostage for 444 days. And that there are a lot that says that could be the biggest reason why Jimmy Carter lost the presidency. And I remember being in Oklahoma, and most people in my elementary class was thinking Jimmy Carter would be elected. And I remember stamping my foot down going, no, he's not. Reagan's going to be elected. Because I was a parrot of my puppet, and my parents we were in a Christian cult, my dad, cult of the army. And there's this Christian nationalist agenda that's been going, Seven Mountains Mandate, and the first mountain they were really accomplishing was Hollywood, and that's where Reagan comes into the picture as their somewhat useful idiot for their agenda to break up Hollywood. But that's what romanticized this rugged individualism that, and I came of age, I found this in my brother's, these are Gunsmoke cards, but, watching Gunsmoke and Bonanza and the Lone Ranger, which I would later learn was racist as hell, and I didn't really Like the character called Tonto was the one that I was actually always most interested in because it seemed like he always kind of came in clutch and saved the day. But, you know, he wasn't allowed to speak because he's dumb. And that, you know, I didn't recognize that as a small child. Nor did I recognize what the Confederate flag stood for on the Dukes of Hazzards. I was just like, that looks like fun to jump into the window of a car and drive real fast. mm. Anyway, so then the democratically elected prime minister was looking at, so 1901, when colonizers, at least in, you know, were being forced to, like, hey, colonizers, no colonizing anymore. Like, we're humans too, and we have a right to our land and resources and life and liberty and to live as we please. And, you know, Iran, you know, that's Persia. That, like, it's never been occupied or colonized in the history of all of humanity. Like, all of humanity. Like, all of it. You think they're going to start now? Y'all are some dumb sacks of shit. Okay. So, anyway, so that prime minister's like, wait a minute, that didn't look really fair for us. Why do we get so little? And the British are profiting. They said, no, we're going to nationalize our oil. And so then British was like, oh shit, we're fucked. America, help us. Let's go and put in CIA, like, and Eisenhower's a little wary about the precedent that it sent, but that's when the CIA was sitting in with their M16, I guess, and they go in and then they get him out and install a Shah that we then funded for like 10 years and caused all kinds of problems. Anyway, I just have some reading to recommend to you about, and you can see how the lives of women changed with our, you know, keep in mind that we caused it. This is Persepolis. It's there's Persepolis 1 and 2. It's by well, I don't know, actually. I just always say Satrapi because I don't really know how to say Marjane Satrapi, I guess. It is signed, a signed copy. She came to a literary workshop in the UAE when I was in Oman. A Story of a Childhood. And it is the first graphic novel I ever read because I really wasn't into comics. But it's graphic novel, so it's accessible. But it really reads well, and it will help you kind of understand some culture of that area of Persia. So, you know, all of this, like, ultimately we get our noses into things that aren't ours. And now, like, the underlying thing, we're in real trouble because the oil and gas lobby has prevented, you know, they're shutting down. You can get environmentally friendly electricity way less expensive now than even oil and gas, but they don't want to let go of their money. It comes down to the false idol of money. Overlying all this is my conspiracy theory that we've got individual people that are operating from their own spiritual, religious point of view, enacting holy wars, and that the Crusades never, in fact, ended. And, you know, the Christian white nationalists, they hate Catholics. They hate Jews. They hate all brown and black people. Like, so the Colonel, he's not a man you would want to get in a fight with because he's got razor hair temper and he's always right. So let me just give you some examples, little vignettes of how this is insidious in that Christian white nationalist culture that is of J.D. Vance and Stephen Miller. Heritage Foundation Project 2025 that I've been talking about for a while now. Imagine I graduate college, I'm working at NOAA Fisheries, but then I meet this dude, start teaching, which wasn't a plan, but I happened to be good at it. And then anyway, the next thing I know, I'm going overseas and I'm in the Sultanate of Oman, where I have friends that still teach there, a lot of friends that I love, some of whom are freaking out with their kids, trying to figure out how they're going to get out safely without being bombed by Iran. Because we just started a war with Israel. And Trump's like, we're just going to go in and like, you're welcome. We killed your Ayatollah that was killing your protesters. Aren't you happy? Wait, oh no, what? You've created a martyr. You've essentially, like, the analogy I can give for you is that the Pope has been killed during Christmas. That's what happened. You know, and the media misinformation spin's we've been lied to for a long, long time. It's been going, because I remember they like, look at these pictures that says death to America. Okay, so first off, having lived in and around Middle Eastern people for 6 years and traveling very freely to a lot of different places, and exploring and learning and being open and growing and expanding my mind. They do, like, I came to the Middle East kind of to escape the bullshit of what I saw happening in America, the hypocrisy, the lies that were uncovering before my eyes. I had a little bit of a distaste for my home country, not the country itself, not a lot of things about the country itself, but the people running it. So I kind of was running away from my own, I wanted to raise my kids in diversity, away from the narrow-mindedness and racism in my family and my ex's family. So I can understand this. It's just like I criticize Bibi Netanyahu and some people in his Knesset, those warheads that are, believe that they are the chosen one. No, and all the rest of us are fucked, right? And they're trying to bring on their Messiah, whereas the Christian white nationalists are trying to bring on the end times because because everything around there's life sucks, I guess, and that's the only way that they can end this misery instead of using our big brains. Like, everybody thinks they fucking know everything, and they think that, here's the thing: people think that the older you get, the more, everyone below you, it's the authoritarian structure. No, there are some smarter people that are younger. Like, I got to where I am and thinking the way that I think and understanding and knowing how I understand the world by listening to everyone, including voices that were younger. Like, I learned a lot from my students. I learned a lot, in every kind of role that I did. Sometimes people are great examples of who not to be in life. Like, do not be like them. And Trump is one of those people. And for whatever reason, these fake moral, fake little C Christians believing that this is the person that they want to prop up as a human being for their children to follow is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard of. What the fuck? Jeez. I pray for your children. My God. Okay. So the moral of all of this is this extractive mindset that we can just be a bully and take whatever we want. Like this. So we go into, we have a Maduro who wasn't a great dude either. And like, he thought he was going to get praised for all of this shit, removing these bad, like, what right do we have to do that? Like, sometimes there can be, maybe if we're asked for some help in the right kind of way. And I don't, whatever. That's not for me to decide. But what the point is, what did he do? He didn't put the second command that was just as horrific as the whole fucking regime, and not the one who won the Peace Prize, who is part of the resistance movement. She tried so hard to blow as much sunshine, even gave him the fucking Peace Prize. But, you know, what comes with that Peace Prize is $1 million to help fund the revolution. And maybe that's why, you know, they were... Anyway. So then he takes this oil. He's like, now the oil is mine. I'm going to manage it here in perpetuity. And the money, where did it go? They sold it. Where did that money go? And it's in an offshore bank. Offshore bank, y'all. And they think they're going to... Like, the whole Middle East is just like, this is what everyone has been trying to avoid. The Middle East that paired with the West are like, fuck, we fucked up, because we just kind of thought that they knew what they were doing with the way things looks. But no, they really don't. The world can't operate on this continued extractive way forward. We have to think about these things in cycles, or, you know, we have all of these examples of civilizations that disappeared. Just spins around and around, y'all. We have these great big brains. Expand it, open it, and then you won't be able to push it back into closed-mindedness once you've expanded your mind. It's impossible. There's a quote somewhere about that, about the mind going to new dimensions, cannot be contained in some sort of vessel that it was in before. Anyway, it's real hard for me because I can't think about these people too much, because then I start imagining their thoughts. Like, I start imagining myself as them in that moment, in the places, and I see it in pictures, and I feel how scared they must feel right now. We allowed this to happen. 250 years. This is the fall of the American Empire. But on the flip side, because we've caused generational harm, we have to keep moving forward. And now there's an opportunity to build a world we want to live in, create our heaven on earth. And this involves loving all of our neighbors. I was told growing up, Jesus loved all the little children of the world. And Jesus is a prophet in Islam. Do you know that? It is. Well, this is a long one. I don't know if I'm going to post this, because this is way long. Maybe I'll post it on YouTube at least, I guess. But well, get out there and make good trouble. Peace, y'all.